Thursday to the Ungovernables, the Captain's Crew, the LFA family, McGroin Nation, coming to you live from the deep red state of Tennessee on rumble.com/LFA TV. Welcome to Ungoverned. Happy to be here on a Thursday. Did I say Thursday or Tuesday?
It's one of the T days.
It's one of the T days. My gosh. I have no idea. I have no idea.
I don't know what you said either.
I don't know what I said. That's all right. It's a Thursday. It is a Thursday. The shutdown is officially over. And the Democrats are up to their old tricks in terms of distractions and all sorts of things that, to hide from the fact that they, A, caved on the shutdown, B, caused the shutdown, and C, got nothing for the shutdown other than their election wins in Virginia, in New Jersey, and in Pennsylvania. So there are certainly issues with the Democrat Party right now that let's be clear, they don't want to have. But I'm also not going to celebrate those issues because a much more aggressive form of the Democrat Party is taking hold right now, which is that socialist, I don't want to say progressive. They're socialist. They're communists. They're violent. They're volatile. It's a group of Democrats right now that they are not bound. You think Schumer and Pelosi are bad. You haven't seen anything until you've seen these Democrats. And we have to counter that, not with the same level of the term partisanship is not a term that I want to use, but it's not like you have to go further to the right to answer the left here. But I do believe you want to at least meet it with the same. Do I use the term aggression? Do I use the term maybe commitment? Maybe the drive to win, right? Maybe the drive to win is a term that we're going to want to use because the Democrats and this new brand of Democrat is playing to win. Plain and simple. And if Republicans aren't going to play to win, they're going to lose. And they're going to lose bad. And it is going to give these Democrats, these socialist Democrats, a ton of wind at their backs, a ton of momentum going into 2028, a ton of momentum going forward, and a very good shot at ushering in socialist policies here in this country. And so we don't want that. We don't want that. So we're going to get into all this. There's a massive distraction campaign going on right now because the old guard of the Democrat Party failed during the shutdown. Look, if this was up to AOC, if this was up to some of the counterforce, a good term, JJNSAEX, absolutely. Counterforce, a counterpunch, an equal and opposite reaction, Newton's third law. And maybe we're seeing Newton's third law.
Fig Newton?
Fig Newton. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? Maybe, for every Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's not this way. Usually you don't get for every Marjorie Taylor Greene, there's a John Fetterman. But this new Epstein nonsense, and I hate to do this, and I hate to be like this, and I know somebody's going to take it the wrong way, and that's fine. You could take it the wrong way because I'm going to explain to you how I mean this, and I said this last night. It's getting to the point. It's getting to the point where every time I hear the word Epstein, I treat it like I hear the word climate, the phrase climate change, where I hear it and I disregard everything that's coming because the people that have surrounded, that have ramped up the messaging about it, like, oh, Donald Trump's a pedophile. Donald Trump's covering for pedophiles. You are covering for. I'm covering for pedophiles. Can you name the pedophiles that I'm covering for? Anybody want to give that one a shot? Can you name the pedophiles that I'm covering for if you're dead certain that I'm covering for pedophiles? Who? Bill Clinton. I have railed against Bill Clinton a million times in the past, including his connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Try again. So it's getting to the point where, like, every time I hear the word Epstein, I treat it like I hear the word Russia. I treat it like I hear climate change. I treat it like I hear the word racist. And what's really terrible is that what Epstein did and what happened to those girls is atrocious. It's egregious. And I've been very clear. I want full transparency on it. But the people, and there are people on both sides of this issue that are doing it, right? That it's like their singular issue, and then anytime someone disagrees with them on that issue, it's like, you must be a pedophile too. It's like, what the? You are crazy people. It's like the every cough is COVID people, right? Every cough is COVID, and this will upset people, but I don't really care. The every cloud is a chemtrail people. There are clouds that do happen to show up sometimes. Okay? Like, that's not to deny the existence of cloud seeding, but I follow a lot of weather people. And there are folks who believe that every single cloud in the sky is man-made. I'm like, okay, so we can't control the climate, but we can control the climate. Come on, guys, the messaging. But I'm serious. This is how it's getting with me. You know, The every cough is COVID. The every hurricane is climate change. Every Russian is somebody that owns Donald Trump. The same with the Jews. Every Jewish person is a Mossad agent, right? You know, it's getting to that point with Epstein where I'm just like, you guys are doing so much damage. When I say you guys, I mean the people who are like harping on it and making it out to be the biggest issue facing our country today. And it isn't. And that's not. So you don't think it's important? When did I say that? When did I say that? I said I don't think it's the most. So you're okay with kids getting raped? When did I say that? It's the emotional argument. It's the emotional arguments that are being made, right? It was like last year, too, December. Everything in the sky was a drone.
Oy.
Airplanes just stopped existing. Everything that was up in the sky was a drone. And it was impossible that it was somebody's little DJI Mavic that, could have been flying all that. Guys, at the end of the day, it's common sense, right? At the end of the day, it's common sense. Do I believe the Epstein case is important? I do. Do I like the way the administration has handled it? I don't. Looking at you, Pam Bondi, she's the reason why it became such a fiasco in the first place. Do I think it's the most important? Look, if you get full transparency on the Epstein case, what does that do to the price of beef tomorrow? Does it do anything? Anything for the price of beef? How about the price of housing? And then you get these people that are twisting it. Well, it'll expose the rich elites that are blackmailing politicians and are shifting policy for their benefit. Can you name a few? With proof? Well, you know who it is. No, I'm asking you to name a few with proof. Hello? And that's where the argument falls apart. And then it becomes, so you just want to make excuses for pedophiles? Here we go again. What they just tried to do, the Democrats, with this Epstein thing, could not have been a more blatant example of a distraction and a psyop and a way to mentally herd, H-E-R-D, not hurt, herd people. Okay? Mentally herd people. It's one of the biggest examples, and it's unfortunate. It's easy to mentally herd people now. Very easy. Social media, algorithms, people equate views and likes with legitimacy. That's another thing where usually it's actually the opposite now, right? The more likes and views something is getting, in many cases, many, not all, but many, the less accurate it generally is these days. It's crazy. But that's where we wound up. So we're going to get into that. Now, the government shutdown is over. That amendment or change to the Farm Bill has been passed. You know where I stand on that. We talked about it yesterday. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow, because I do believe it's going to have negative impacts on the hemp industry. And ironically, and he has not been my favorite person over the last, I would say, 11 months, 10 months. But I posted about the fact that this hemp crackdown is going to be a problem. And believe it or not, for the first time ever, this would have made 2016 me start blushing. Rand Paul replied to me yesterday and was like, thank you for bringing awareness to this, because Rand Paul tried to block that. Again, I don't agree with Rand on tariffs. I don't agree with Rand on a lot of the stances he's taken against the administration, but I do agree with him on the hemp stuff, and I think it's going to be a problem. But now it is up to those industry leaders to get creative and figure out a way around these regulations. This is Sandman says yes. No worries. We got a year to get that stripped out. Sand is cool as the other side of the pillow. Good. That's very good. I'm happy about that, and I don't want to see industry leaders panicking. Right? Get some lawyers, challenge the new regulations. You could get maybe some injunctive relief, some temporary restraining orders about it. So there are ways to counter it, and I don't think that the hemp industry is just going to roll over and accept it. I just don't know how much can be fought, but I'm going to follow it like crazy, because I like to geek out about like those little things. By the way, speaking of, and I don't mean to say geek in a negative way, but we met at the T-Bones in Politics event. And by the way, thoughts and prayers go out to Rutherford County Mayor Joe Carr, who broke 9 ribs and had a partially collapsed lung and a lacerated liver in a horse training accident.
Yeah, poor guy.
Our friend, the Mayor Joe Carr here of Rutherford County, in rough shape right now, but we sent him a get well text, and we heard from him this morning thanking us for the get well text. So hopefully he recovers quickly, and our thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. And he did say that the horses are fine, which is good. But we met, I'm going to tell you, a superstar at the T-Bones in Politics event on Monday night here in Rutherford County by the name of Chase. And I don't remember his last name, but he is at political.predictions on Instagram. And this is a guy, and I know how we feel about polling, but this is a guy who goes into polling data and pulls all the splits and all the numbers, and his 2024 predictions for the 2024 election were probably the most accurate predictions that I'd seen. 2025, all of us were fooled because of the turnout and all of that, but we're going to be working with him going into the midterms next year. So don't be surprised if this show going into the midterms next year becomes the show with the most accurate numbers. I'm just going to say that right now, because this guy, he is a whiz when it comes to numbers. For those of you who watched the Rumble Rundown, he's like how Jimmy Crisanti is about NASCAR. That's how this kid is about, I say kid, he's 20. That's how he is with numbers. So go follow on Instagram, political.predictions. He's a rock star. All right. Let's move into, we'll get to a word from our friends at OFP Farms. And then we are going to, Scott Corbin says, I missed something. What's going on with the hemp industry over on X? The hemp industry, they snuck it into the CR. You cannot sell products with more than 0.3% THC, per dry weight, I guess is the regulation. That's been there for a while, but you cannot exceed 0.4 milligrams of THC per item and 2 milligrams of THC per container. So people are like, well, there's no THC in CBD. That's not true. There is a trace amount of THC in CBD products. sometimes they can't get all of the THC out. You could look at the lab testing, and it's going to hurt that industry in particular. So it's unfortunate. We talked about it yesterday. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow. Before we do that, anything else and get into this stupid Epstein garbage that happened yesterday, I want to talk to you about OFP Farms. I want you to explore the wonderful quality of Faith Farm and Freedom products with a special limited time 15% discount on your entire purchase. That is at OFPfarms.com, OFPfarms.com, OFPfarms.com. Take a peek at the lineup from OFP Farms. They are America's go-to soap company, famous for natural ingredients, the skin-loving perks of tallow and goat milk, and a big heart for farm-to-family skincare. Now, whether you're looking for gentle skincare or thoughtful gifts, these products bring together expert care and good values to make your daily routine that much better. Do not miss this chance to enjoy premium products that support your health and ethical choices for the entire family. OFP Farms is the small family farm with big, beautiful love. If you use the code Sean, S-H-A-W-N, at OFP Farms, you will get 15%. That's a big 1-5. 15% off of your entire purchase. That's OFPfarms.com, OFPfarms.com, OFP Farms, Oscar Foxtrot, PapaFarms.com. Danes X2 says, I love OFP Farms. They are the best products. Thank you. There you go. OFPfarms.com, OFPfarms.com. That's Oscar Foxtrot, PapaFarms.com. Promo code SHAWN. Folks, the eucalyptus is back, baby. I love this stuff. I don't know why I went into the other flavors are good too. Yeah. The other flavors are good. But the eucalyptus.
The Yuki is the Sean
I love the Yuki.
They should rename that Sean.
They should just name it the Yuki.
Sean's Lips.
Just name it the Yuki.
Do you want
all
that case, Sean?
Do you want that case? All right. Next up, our friends over at SilentSLNT.com, SLNT.com, SLNT.com/Sean Sierra Hotel Alpha Whiskey November. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, your phone, you know all about it. Your phone is a tracking device. Now, whether it's government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even those pesky cyber criminals. By the way, we dealt with a scammer the other day, and I lit them up. They said to me, hello, Paul. And I said, no, if you can't get my name right on the phone, you're never going to be able to scam me.
Oh, that was
How
funny.
about you speak the language? And I said, this is what? When did she say, oh? I said, who's calling?
Oh.
And she went, oh.
Yeah, I recorded
I said,
the
if you
whole thing.
can't answer the question of who's calling, and you go, oh, then get off my... I was like Mark Levin. Get off my phone, you idiot. All right. Let's face it, your phone is a tracking device. Between government agencies, big tech, corporate data brokers, even cyber criminals, they're all fighting for a piece of your digital footprint, and they don't ask. They just go on and take it. That is why Silent exists. Silent makes Faraday gear that blocks all wireless signals, like cellular, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, GPS, RFID, and near-field communications. No signal means no tracking, no remote access, and no breadcrumbs. It's the same technology trusted by special operations teams worldwide, used to block signals, avoid surveillance, and secure communications wherever the mission leads. And right now it is available to you to protect your family, to protect your freedom, and to secure your digital footprint. Just drop your phone in a silent Faraday sleeve and it is off the grid, completely silent and invisible to the outside world. From their backpacks to their sleeves to their crossbody, Silent's patented technology gives you control of your privacy. Visit SLNT.com/Sean to get 15% off and free shipping on qualifying orders. That is SLNT.com/Sierra Hotel Alpha Whiskey November. Protect your rights. Secure your data and stay one step ahead. Go silent today, SLNT.com, and silence the chaos. SLNT.com/Sierra Hotel Alpha Whiskey November. All right. Here we go. The Democrats decided that it was time to distract from the fact that they caused and dealt with the shutdown. Right? They were they didn't deal with it. They were the reason why there was a shutdown. I'm going to flash back to yesterday real quick and just show you. Remember this clip we played of Jon Stewart yesterday where he was like, you don't control the Senate. Why did you do this? So they're admitting that they own the shutdown. And I think they realized that and said, oh, we can't do that. Let's throw some shiny object out there and distract a bunch of people. First, let's go to Jon Stewart here.
I cannot believe it! You had the wind at your back. Election victories all over the country. The new Sydney Sweeney movie, box office bupkis. Apparently, her new MAGA fan base didn't show up in droves to see a biopic about a lesbian professional boxer who overcomes domestic violence to live her truth. Who could have seen that coming? Democrats, you sold out the entire shutdown not to get what you wanted, but for a promise to not get what you wanted later. Where in the art of war? Hold on. Where in the...
All right, we don't have to play the whole clip because we played it yesterday, but you see what he's saying, right? You could have gotten something. So in other words, they were the ones who caused the shutdown. Now you have basically everyone going, wait a minute. You said Republicans caused the shutdown, but you're also saying that you caved and ended the shutdown, which means you were the reason there was a shutdown in the first place, right? So now they get to roll out this shiny object. This Epstein story that came out yesterday, this email that came out yesterday, okay? And it has to do with Virginia Giuffre. The White House is very upset because here we go again with these selective leaks and the insinuation that in some way Donald Trump, who has been exonerated by Epstein's lawyer, exonerated by some of Epstein's victims, that somehow he was involved with Jeffrey Epstein. We never heard about Trump's connections to Jeffrey Epstein for years until now when Pam effing Bondi dropped the ball and blew it all up. Here we go. There was an unnamed victim in the emails. The unnamed victim is the late Virginia Giuffre, who allegedly committed suicide. I don't know what happened to her. She repeatedly said under oath that Donald Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing whatsoever. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released new emails on Wednesday from infamous financier Jeffrey Epstein that allege Trump knew about the girls and that Trump spent, quote, hours at my house. In an unredacted version of one of the emails, it was revealed that the unnamed victim is Virginia Giuffre, who has repeatedly said that Trump was not involved in any wrongdoing. That very well should have ended it, shouldn't it? But you've got a bunch of imbeciles out there who are like, release the Epstein files. I want the files released. But folks, you have again, the Democrats pinned, nailed to the wall with the shutdown. They are the ones who floated out this distraction, who floated out the shiny object. And a lot of people, you ever see that video of the guy riding his bike and he's got the Huskies pulling him in front and then a squirrel darts across the road and the Huskies go whoosh into the woods because they get distracted by the squirrel. Whoa, what was that? That's what so many people on the right did yesterday. They're like, oh, Epstein, scandal. Let's get into that. There's always got to be something. You've got the Democrats pinned. You had them nailed to the wall with the shutdown. They were flailing. They had no consistent messaging. They had a mutiny going on. Chuck Schumer was dodging, political rhetorical bullets left and right. John Fetterman is out there calling out his own party. Everybody was starting to figure out that it was the Democrats' fault in the first place. So they throw this flashy, shiny object out there, and you see a bunch of people's attention get diverted to that shiny object because, Epstein files. Release the Epstein files. Okay. Yes, release the Epstein files. But my goodness gracious, can we please hold the Democrats accountable for something? We had the chance to flip the whole script on them. And now all of a sudden, we're distracted by something so stupid. The Democrats intentionally redacted the name of the victim, Virginia Giuffre, in the Epstein emails that they released. The unredacted version shows that it was Virginia Giuffre. Giuffre had testified multiple times that President Trump did nothing and that she never even saw him in Epstein's house. That should end it, shouldn't it? But it doesn't. Let me show you on CNN what happened. You had Jasmine Crockett talking about this very issue. If this does not show you that this whole Epstein, I'm not saying nothing happened. We know stuff happened. I see the argument all the time. Oh, well, he was convicted of pedophilia and human trafficking. But now you're telling me there's no victims? Nobody is saying that. What happened to arguing logically? Nobody, I don't know a single person who said there are no victims. I don't know a single person who said that the whole pedophile ring was a hoax. This is the hoax. This right here. This is the hoax. This is the new Russia. Oh, look, Donald Trump used Russian salad dressing. He's Putin's puppet. That's this. It's the same thing, folks. Pay attention. This is a psyop, a psychological operation. That is what's going on here with Epstein. That's not to say the whole case is fake. That's not to say there wasn't horrible things done on that island. That's not to say that there aren't a ton of victims who had their lives ruined. That's not to say that there weren't powerful elites that were a part of this network. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying the Democrats are using our interest in this case as a means of mentally herding, herding, us away from what they want us talking about. That's what I'm saying. Mentally herding. You had our sights set, locked in on the Democrats and what they did with the shutdown, and now they float the Epstein stuff? The day the government is getting refunded and reopened, now they floated it. How much more obvious do we need it to be for all of these people? How much more obvious? I posted this yesterday. Let me get this straight. The Democrats just held the government hostage for 40 plus days, which is causing devastating impacts to air travel right before the holiday season starts. We heard about children not eating with SNAP. We heard about federal workers not being paid. 10 to 20 air traffic controllers retiring per day. The travel headaches are going to be here to stay for a while the system catches up with itself. The Democrats did that. They held the government hostage and kept the government shut down for 40 plus days. And now they're admitting it when they're saying that, oh my goodness, Chuck Schumer caved on the shutdown and didn't get what we were asking for. And now the government is reopened. They're admitting that they were the reason why they were shut down. Admitting it. And they had the government shut down for 40 plus days. But I'm supposed to forget all that. We're all supposed to forget all of that and care about these vague, selectively edited Epstein emails that reference an unnamed victim who has been confirmed in unredacted versions of these emails to be Virginia Giuffre, who testified that Trump engaged in no wrongdoing whatsoever. And people are falling for this. People are actually falling for this. And proclaiming MAGA is dead, and Trump is a pedophile, and you're covering for. What are you talking about? My enemy right now is the left, the radical left, who just held our government hostage for 40 plus days and have completely devastated the travel industry right in front of what is usually its busiest time. And this isn't just impacting people who are flying across the country to go visit family members. I mean, this is hurting businesses. This is hurting when it comes to shipping and deliveries. It's a very busy time of year for traveling and logistics. And the Democrats have ruined and devastated that entire thing. But I'm supposed to forget about all of that because they trotted out and deployed an old email that references a person who they redacted in the email that said Donald Trump has done nothing wrong regarding Epstein. And people are falling. You can't fall for this, folks. That is a 100%. They are herding you like sheep into a pen, away from talking about the shutdown and back to talking about, the Epstein files, where did they go? And is Trump a pedophile? That's what they're doing. And you are falling for it if you're engaging in that activity. Falling for it. Let me show you. Even CNN's not buying it. Watch this with Jasmine Crockett.
This is an email from April 2nd, 2011. Republicans are saying that victim is Virginia Giuffre. As you know, she died by suicide. She's been very outspoken victim of Jeffrey Epstein. Here's the email right here on your screen. She wrote a book, as you know, and she did not accuse him of any wrongdoing. What do you make of that? And can you confirm that?
Yeah, I don't know. obviously it's redacted who the victim is, so I won't necessarily take the Republicans' word on who it is that's redacted. And I don't know why they would necessarily redact someone's name who is deceased at this point.
The Democrats did that, though. The Democrats redacted.
No. I understand,
Okay,
but I'm just saying, like, our biggest concern is to actually make sure that we are protecting victims. And obviously, she wrote a book. She told her truth.
The Democrats redacted the name. She says, I understand that, but somehow it's the Republicans' fault?
What is on her head?
I don't know. I don't know.
Star Wars hairdo.
I don't know what she's wearing. I don't know what drugs she's taking. I have no idea. Please tell me you're not falling for this. There are so many people who are please tell me you're not falling for this. This is so transparently a psyop and so transparently a hoax. I'm not saying that people weren't victimized and assaulted and raped. That's not the hoax. The hoax and the psyop is the way the Democrats are suddenly pretending to care about it and using it to distract. It's like when anytime something happened with Hunter Biden, what did they do in the Biden administration? Aliens! Remember that? Every single time you brought up Hunter Biden. Aliens! Remember the spy balloon happened and then people were talking about Hunter and the laptop and the cocaine in the White House and they were like, oh, there was a UFO over Canada. Interesting how aliens always seem to come out when we start talking about Hunter. Isn't that weird? Please don't fall for this. I'm begging you. Don't fall for this. All right. Quick break. And then we're going to move into a couple more Democrat reactions to the shutdown. A little bit more from John Fetterman. I happen to love the new version of John Fetterman that we're getting now. It's pretty cool. And we will continue on. I've got a couple of stories about the Supreme Court that I want to get to. A very important vote by mail case. A very important case involving the National Guard, which we've been talking about since June. And the U.S. Mint. R.I.P. to the penny. Rest in peace. Before we do that, I'm going to get to a word. We got to get to a word from our friends, our good friends over at oldglorybank.com. You down with OGB? Yeah, you know me. That's right. This is your favorite president, Donald J. Trump, and I'm here to tell you about Old Glory Bank. They are the premier bank for faith and freedom. You've heard me talk about how the big crooked banks debanked me and our beautiful first lady following the rigged election. It was so rigged in 2020. Thankfully, there's a bank that loves your favorite president as much as I love your favorite president, which is a lot. Old Glory Bank. They don't debank Americans who love their country and honor the Constitution. That's right, folks. You've heard me talk about Old Glory Bank. Old Glory Bank is America's best online bank that serves customers and small businesses in all 50 states. I am a customer. My wife is a customer. They have everything you need to bank online, including free accounts, free overdraft protection, early direct deposit, home loans, VA loans, and business loans. That is why Old Glory Bank quickly grew from $10 million to over $225 million in deposits. Your money is your business. Open an account today in minutes at oldglorybank.com and join the right side of banking. When I tell you that Old Glory Bank was the easiest thing to open up in terms of accounts, I'm not joking. It was so easy. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. It was so easy to open up an account over at Old Glory Bank. We're so happy to be with them. It's very easy, by the way. When I first talked to Mike Ring, I was like, how does this work without branches? It's all online. You could do these. You can make cash deposits and truck stops and all of this stuff. And we're going to get him back on in probably maybe next week, I think. We're going to get him back on, Mike Ring, give us some updates on Old Glory Bank. All right, next up, folks, are you ready to have a shitty time? Shitty, SCHIDDYS. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Shitties. This is your captain speaking. Captain Shitties. Captain Shitties salsa and meat sticks. Guys, this stuff is so good. This salsa is so good. You've never had salsa like this before. You've never had it, I guarantee you. Experience the vibrant, sun-soaked flavors of the Southwest with this delicious salsa crafted with a meticulous blend of farm-fresh ingredients. There are no shortcuts. Just vine-ripened tomatoes, crisp onions, a medley of zesty peppers, and a perfectly balanced spice blend that delivers an irresistible kick This is a salsa for the flavor enthusiast. Its robust, chunky texture makes it the ideal companion for endless culinary adventures. Use it to transform simple tortilla chips into an extraordinary snack. Layer it onto sizzling carnitas tacos for an instant upgrade. Mix it into your morning scrambled eggs, or use it as a dynamic marinade for grilled chicken. The complex layered flavors offer a perfect balance of heat and savory depth that mass-produced alternatives simply cannot match. Stop settling for bland dips and watery sauces. How annoying is it when you get some salsa and you eat it, you put it back in the fridge, you come back, there's a puddle in there. It's annoying. Does not happen with Captain Shitties. They say, well, no, we're not doing that. Seize bold flavor and truly elevate your next meal or gathering. Discover the genuine taste of the Southwest, where every bite is an authentic explosion of flavor. Order today at Captain Shitties. You see it on your screen. SCHIDDYS. Captain Shitties Salsa. Captain Shitties, not to be confused with President Shitty, who is crooked Joe Biden at the Vatican, right? You understand that? CaptainShitties.com. 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 Okay. Let's get into, what do we want to get into next? I want to play this clip of Chris Cuomo, believe it or not, Andrew Cuomo's brother, on News Nation, saying the Democrat Party might be over. What does he mean by this? Take a listen.
I'm not impressed by the history of this being the longest government shutdown. It's a regrettable history. I think this is an historic moment for another reason. I think the Democratic Party, as we know it, is about to end. I think that this is the birth of the new left. I think the reason that you see so many high-profile Democrats, especially in the House, accusing the Democratic senators for ending the shutdown of basically being traitors. Did you hear AOC? She was literally accusing them of like a conspiracy. And she said, in exchange for nothing. It's really interesting to me. It makes so little sense on the merits that I have to believe it's a ploy. Why? Well, look, forget about the tricky bit of arguing we should have kept going with this when there are thousands of federal workers and their families not being paid, millions of people in need not getting full SNAP benefits, all the stuff going on with the flights. That's not an easy thing to want more of. So was there some deal on the table that we don't know about? Was something getting close that they know that we don't? Because if that's not the case, and we're about to talk to somebody who absolutely knows if it were the case, certainly better than AOC or Jeffries would, because he's one of the Senate Democrats who was part of this process. If that's not what they know, then what this really is a line in the sand for them, that we're not with them anymore. And that's why the vote will be somewhat telling also. We've never seen this happen before. Never. Okay? Not in the modern era. Okay? So capitulation on policy from the majority party in power when the government gets shut down, obviously, by the minority has never happened. I get why you would want to believe that something could happen, but with the absence of any proof, it only leaves you with one possibility, which is they want to divide the party. They want maybe to blow up the party, get new leaders in a new direction. I believe this could be the moment that the populist movement, that is a reaction to MAGA, which I've been calling mega. It's not the same, but it's fueled in reaction to MAGA and by the Democratic Socialists of America and with their new allies who are playing with some fundamentalist culture plays, are getting ready to take over.
It is Mo time. Okay, wow, Mama Wolf, holy cow. All right, there's a hedgehog on your screen right there. We're honking it.
They love Mo.
They love Mo. Mo's an icon. Mo's an icon. This is what I'm going to warn everybody of, right? The Democrats say, "Oh, the Democrat Party's dying." Yeah, it is, definitely is. But it is being taken over by people who play to win more than a Nancy Pelosi or a Chuck Schumer. And I'm not saying to live in fear. I'm just saying to take note. And if you don't answer that with equal force, they're gonna steamroll everything you want to do. They're gonna run over everything. So it's a very important time, and it's something very important to watch. 20 years ago, if you had a socialist take over the Democrat Party, like, good, no one's going to vote for that. People will vote for that now. Look at New York City. And all the foreign-born voters who love this type of stuff, right? Now, I don't want to hear the word asylum seeker ever again. If you're seeking asylum from a country that went socialist like Venezuela, and you're coming here and then voting for socialism, you're an idiot. A total moron. All right, there's Chris. That was Chris Cuomo. All right, quick break again. We'll get to a word from our friends over at goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. And then we're going to jump into this Supreme Court vote by mail case. So goldencrestmetals.com/LFA, goldencrestmetals.com/LFA.
Hey everybody, Jeremy Harrell here. Look, I want to talk to you a little bit about gold and silver. When I was a kid, I always wondered what Fort Knox must look like. And when I was a kid, I always envisioned that when you would walk into Fort Knox, you would see just gold everywhere, literally raining gold, kind of like what you see behind me right now. Unfortunately, as a grown-up, I don't have that kind of imagination anymore, and I don't even have that much trust that Fort Knox has the 5,000 tons of gold that we're supposed to have there. Meaning that decades ago, we went off the gold standard in this country, which took the value of our dollar down to just mere pennies. And since our federal government doesn't want to go back to a gold standard currency, then it's time to us to take matters into our own hands. Have you ever thought about buying gold and silver? Have you ever thought about taking portions of your IRA or your 401k or your nest egg or your savings and putting it into gold and silver, either all or a portion of it? Have you ever wanted to purchase silver like this in bullion or premium? I know I do. And I know I wanted to take matters back into my own hands, which is why I have worked with Golden Crest Metals to do that. GoldenCrestMetals.com/LFA is going to be your go-to, absolutely transparent and trusted partner. Now, you can go to that website or you can call 888-308-4202. And what the good thing about this is they're going to guide you. They're going to talk to you. They're going to guide you. They're going to give you all the answers to your questions. And there's going to be no hidden fees. It's completely transparent. No hidden fees. No pressure, no surprise markups whatsoever. Clients get to see everything before they purchase. They've even agreed to lower the minimum investment to the LFA audience in order to make sure that everybody has access to this. Free IRA storage, free insured shipping, and a full range of precious metals from gold, silver, palladium, and platinum. And if it's easier for you to just maybe click a QR code, well, guess what? We've got that available for you too. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. Click this QR code on your screen and it'll take you right there. GoldenCrestMetals.com/LFA. Again, GoldenCrestMetals.com/LFA, or call 888-308-4202 today to reach these guys. They're going to be a great partner for you, just as they have been for me, and we absolutely recommend here at LFA TV, GoldenCrestMetals.com/LFA.
That's goldencrestmetals.com/LFA, goldencrestmetals.com/LFA. Real quick, we're going to do some Supreme Court stuff right now. First, I want to just touch on this. This is the Supreme Court getting ready to decide if Trump can control riots against ICE facilities using the National Guard. I have a feeling that's going to be Trump is going to win that. We've talked a lot on this show about Title 10, the authority that the president has under Title 10 to deploy federal forces and federalize the National Guard in any state that he wants. If federal property and assets needs to be protected, he can use federal assets like the National Guard to protect that property. It's very clear. The language in Title 10 is very clear. We've dove into that a million times, and every time that something like this gets challenged, usually it goes the way of the administration. Now, this Supreme Court case over on Just the News, they're agreeing to hear a case over counting ballots in the mail-in ballots that arrive late. The court agreed to hear the matter after the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals struck down the law in 2024. The Supreme Court on Monday agreed to hear a case addressing whether states may count ballots that arrive after Election Day. The Republican National Committee and Mississippi Libertarian Party challenged the state's law permitting the counting of ballots postmarked by Election Day should they arrive within 5 days. The court agreed to hear the matter after the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals struck down the law in 2024. President Trump, for his part, has long been a critic of mail-in ballots, as have we all, and pointed to the expansion of the practice during the COVID-19 pandemic when making the 2020 election fraud claims. Now, should these ballots be counted if they come in late is the question. And, if they're postmarked by election day, the voter can say, well, I'm being disenfranchised because I cast my vote on election day. It just didn't get there in time. Well, if you're planning on voting by mail and you know how slow the USPS is, if you're planning on voting by mail, get your ballot in the mail early or drop it off at your Board of Elections. I do not believe that any ballots that show up after Election Day should be counted. And it's going to be very interesting to see where the Supreme Court goes with a case like that. All right. I wanted to get to this story yesterday. Zoran the moron. I like it, but I don't want to make too light of him. You know, I don't like the guy, but he's dangerous and capable right now. Zoran the moron's chief advisor wants social workers. Remember, we had that story a couple days ago that Zoran wants to replace or fill the vacancies left by NYPD officers who are leaving. He wants to replace them with social workers. Well, now his chief advisor wants social workers responding to 911 calls. Mamdani, a Democrat socialist, won the mayoral race on November 4th. His longtime chief advisor reportedly led a campaign proposal to send social workers to address certain nonviolent 911 calls across the city. The heavily criticized proposal was drummed up by the, you ready for this? Ivy League educated. Oh, there's a surprise. You know, when you say Ivy League educated, you're almost certain that person is a radical leftist, if not a straight up communist. Yeah. Ivy League educated California native Ella Bisgard Church, a relative political newcomer affiliated with the Democrat Socialists of America. Huh. So she's Ivy League educated, but it's a socialist. Interesting. That's a trend that we're kind of noticing, isn't it? Bisgard Church was tapped by Mamdani on Monday to once again be his chief advisor while running the helm at New York City City Hall after serving in the same post during his campaign and during his days in the state assembly. When developing the Department of Community Safety proposal, which aims to replace police officers with mental health professionals, that's what you need. You got some guy robbing a bank, just send in a shrink. We'll get to the bottom of what's the root cause of why you're robbing the bank, sir. Can you take a seat on this couch so we can examine why you're in the mentality and the mindset that you need to rob a bank? By the way, you can't rob a bank in New York City anyway, because any of the money that you take from the bank as profits are going to get taxed.
Unless you're Kathy Hogan.
Stick them up! Stick them up!
Put the money in a bag.
The bucktooth, Botox, booby bandit of Buffalo. That's right. That's right. Bisgard Church reportedly spoke to mental health experts, public safety officials from other cities, and former New York City Police Department Chief of Department Rodney Harrison. The new department will cost approximately $1.1 billion, according to a campaign proposal. But she wants social workers. She wants social workers to respond to 911 calls. I'm sorry, do you want a social worker showing up to an emergency?
No.
You know, I mean, I'm not saying that we don't need social workers and you don't want to, but like
No, I want a guy with a gun.
Let me tell you something. What? There's a reason why there are two different jobs. One called social worker, one called police officer, right? Mm-hmm. They are not interchangeable. All this is going to do, what is it going to do? It's going to embolden criminals. Criminals who used to be like, well, I don't want to be met with the force of the police are going to be like, they're sending a social worker? Are you serious? They're sending a shrink, a psychiatrist is going to come here and tell me not to rob the bank? Yeah, if I smack this grandma over the head with a hammer and take her purse, someone's just going to come and ask me, sir, why did you do that? What is making you feel this way? I'm going to smack them over the head too. Okay. You know what? New York City, you get what you voted for. And I know there are people from the city who are like, but I didn't vote for this. I voted for Sliwa. I voted for Cuomo, which, indirectly means you voted for it, Cuomo. But, the father of cashless bill. There's only one option. You got to leave. You got to leave. I can't leave. All right. If you can't right now, then make a plan. Because whether or not you voted for it or not, more people voted for it than against it. That's the direction the city is going in. And I'll tell you, It's not a very good direction, and it's not very safe. I'm going to give you the effects of that in just a second. Before we do that, I want to get to a word from our friends at tryarmor.com/LFA TV. It's TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. Look, you know, I'm always on the lookout for ways to strengthen my immunity, my gut health, ignite my metabolism, and improve my fitness and enhance my skin and hair radiance. And that is what Armor Colostrum can do for you and more. Colostrum is the first nutrition that we receive in life, and it contains all the essential nutrients that our bodies need in order to thrive. The problem is, after we're little teeny tiny babies, little tiny, small people, very little people, we stop getting colostrum. We're like, we don't get it ever again. That's a problem. Until now, that's where Armor Colostrum comes in. Armor Colostrum can help reactivate your hair growth and help your skin glow. Can help fortify your gut health and ignite your metabolism. And you could fuel your fitness performance and recovery, harnessing the close-guarded secret of elite athletes' long prize for its unrivaled ability to take performance to its apex. Colostrum has been shown to improve fitness endurance by 20%, decrease recovery time by over 50%. After intense exercise, improve stamina, and specifically build lean muscle mass. Check it out at tryarmor.com/LFA TV. It's TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. You get 15% off of your first order. It's a good gift to holiday season as well. Any fitness enthusiasts or folks who want to take a look at this stuff, we got a lot of folks in our chat who use Armor Colostrum. They believe in it. It's great stuff. Tryarmor.com/LFA TV for 15% off of your entire first order. That's TRYARMRA.com/LFA TV. Look.
Here's the deal.
Here's the deal. By the way, I've been getting shout out to our friend out in Wilson County, Little Joe. We love Little Joe. He's great. Yesterday, apparently, him and his wife heard me doing Joe Biden and John Kennedy and gave me the accolade. They complimented, said, "You're like Rich Little." Apparently, Rich Little, one of the best. Jim Verdi talked about it on our show, producer Jim, one of the best impressionists like ever. I must say, I heard a clip of me doing Bernie the other day, and I was impressed. So humble, right? I'm so humble, so modest. I think my Bernie has come a long way, and I think it's time to take that to the next level. So
I heard myself, and I loved
I was
it.
like, that really isn't a bad Bernie. Like, I don't think my Biden's very good, and I think my Kennedy has taken a step back. But my Bernie, I think, but only when he yells. It's like Biden too, because I don't know how he does it when he's quiet. So I'm going to have to listen to quiet Bernie. But I know, and his speech pattern is very interesting. He does like a long, short, long, short. That's it. I don't like, we'll do like, I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am. Like he has a it's kind of broken. Cadence, yeah. It's an interesting cadence. So we got to, but I think Bernie, I think we do a good job with Bernie. I call him the cranky communist, right? I call him the cranky communist. All right. New York City, speaking of socialists and cranky communists, and New Jersey are poised to lose billions with a B, billions and billions of dollars in tax revenue, which we kind of said was going to happen, right? Remember we talked about the David Tepper situation in New Jersey. One hedge fund manager left New Jersey. They had to redo the entire state budget. Florida and Texas emerge as biggest winners in decade-long migration shift that reshapes the American economy. A new analysis finds that the states of New York and New Jersey have lost billions of dollars from their tax base amid an exodus of residents in recent years. Why are people leaving? I thought under Democrat leadership, things were affordable. We will make health care affordable. Our system is dysfunctional, and health care is a human right. The group Unleash Prosperity released a report on Tuesday that found that New York lost, you ready for this? In tax revenue, New York, $517.5 billion in resident incomes from 2013 to 2022, while New Jersey lost $170.1 billion in that period, according to data from the Census Bureau and the IRS. 2013 to 2022, 9 years, $500 billion in resident incomes. Now that's resident incomes. That's not tax revenue, but it's that $517.5 billion. That's money that they can't tax anymore because it's no longer in their state. That's a lot. That's $500 billion. The report covers cumulative gains and losses in each state's resident income as a mover takes their income to another state for subsequent years, not just the first year after the move. The report was first covered by the New York Post. New York and New Jersey combined have lost $2/3 of $1 trillion in net income and purchasing power over the last decade due to moving vans departing these states. It's from Steve Moore, the economist and co-founder of Unleash Prosperity. He told Fox Business, this has been one of the greatest wealth losses for one region in American history. New Jersey and New York are being bled to death by low-tax states in the South. But they're really being bled to death by high-tax politicians in their own states. People wouldn't leave New York. People wouldn't leave New Jersey. There would be, look, people go and they move in and out of states all the time. But you wouldn't see a pronounced trend of people leaving these states, especially wealthy people, if they weren't taxing their citizens and their constituents to death. That's the point here. Yes, people would leave New York and they would buy a home in Florida because they're tired of the cold winters and, later in life it's better for them, whatever. Yes, people will leave because maybe an opportunity in another state, shows up and you can take advantage of that. You're going to go get a new job in a place like Oklahoma, for example, whatever.
Chris Rose in the chat, by the way.
By the way, we have Chris Rose in the chat. Let me just say something. Chris Rose is the story that should inspire every Republican in the country. Okay?
Yeah, we've been talking about him.
We've been talking about him a lot to a lot of people. Just, $54,000 to his campaign's name a year ago. Over $1 million spent against him. Wins his primary, right? Going away. Wins his primary by so much that his Democrat opponent the next morning called and said, yeah, we're not even going to mess with you. You're in. Have fun as a state senator, right? Did it all with sweat equity and a couple of volunteers, walking the streets, walking the precincts, doing the hard work, okay? Nobody talks about Chris Rose. Now he's in the state senate of West Virginia, and he's getting things passed. Could you believe this? He came on this show and many other shows and promised that he was going to do things, and now he's doing them. He walked out of the coal mine into the halls of the state senate in West Virginia and is kicking ass. Kicking ass. We need more Chris Roses. We need more Chris Roses in this country. Talk about work ethic. My goodness. There you go. Chris Rose is fighting like hell for everybody in West Virginia, so it's nice to see him in the chat. And you know what? Maybe West Virginia, because they're led by people like Chris Rose, will be the recipient of some of those massive incomes and, whatever, maybe the folks moving out of New York and New Jersey. West Virginia Mountain Mama. That's what it is.
Chris Rose is a mountain mama.
Chris Rose is not a mountain mama. Chris Rose is a mountain legend. All right, Jeremy Harrell is coming up next here on LFA TV, rumble.com/LFA TV. Rumble.com/LFA TV. Lima Foxtrot Alpha Tango Victor. Make sure you get over to Rumble and follow this page. Get in the chat. We want to see you. Jeremy Harrell is up next with Live from America, the flagship show here on Rumble.com/LFA TV. Until tomorrow, as our greatest president says, we will never give up. We will never give in. We will never, ever surrender. And if all else fails, we will just become ungovernable. Thank you. God bless you. God bless this one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will talk about a little bit of John Fetterman tomorrow. God bless you. God bless America. Bang gavel. Good night, everybody. And thank you for your attention to this matter. Jeremy Harrell is up next. Keep it locked right here.